Hi, welcome back to another interesting video actually. When I was 14 I used to work behind the scenes in a British Bangladeshi restaurant, and I picked up quite a few tips that I've had to remember because the significance at the time escaped me, but it's only now that it's quite an interesting genre to get into in terms of cooking. That I've had to think, oh, that would really be helpful to remember what they did. But one thing they did do, there used to be a big boss in the restaurant, and occasionally he'd go away for business, or, you know, usually it's never one restaurant, it's usually about 4 or 5. It could be one in a remote place and 2 in a city and blah blah blah. So there were plenty of opportunities for the boss to go away. Now every time that happened, one thing I did observe was the staff curry, if you like. I don't like to call it a staff curry. It's basically authentic Indian cooking, sweatening everything down, blah blah blah. So what this recipe is a video of what they used to eat when Mr. What's-his-name was away. And you know, the star of the show would be the biggest prawns you can get in Britain. What the restaurant used to do is cut them up into 4, fry them and put them in a sauce. So that was an absolute no-no. When the cat's away, the rats will play. I'm not calling the guys in the restaurant rats, but you know what I mean. So they were whole, got about 400 grams of the biggest shrimp you'll find. We've got some really nice base gravy there, I'll talk about that in a moment. Small handful of finely chopped coriander. We have 2 tablespoons of tomato puree with about a teaspoon of tandoori masala and about 3 times that amount, so 6 tablespoons of water. You just stir it up, make it palatable. We've got some ginger and garlic paste, probably just over 2 heap tablespoons. We've got about 6 or 7 chopped green chilies. We've got the end of a lemon that's really juicy, and about 1/3 of a can of coconut milk. So let's talk about the powdered spices. We've got a tablespoon of turmeric, the same amount of Kashmiri chili powder and cumin and salt, and about double that amount of dhania, or coriander powder. So what's great about this? I mean, you're going to see a lot of the essence of some of my cooking in this. I mean, this is the best base gravy out. I've never made a video for it. It is absolutely one of those base gravies. A lot of people, that they taste the base gravy when they followed all the bloody base gravy recipes on YouTube, and they all taste the bloody same, because if you think of a painter, base gravy is like the primer before you put the real coat on. So you can't really mess up a base gravy, but this is one of those rare base gravies that you actually taste and go, yes, I know my curry's going to be awesome. So nearly 4 minutes talking about the ingredients and a little bit of background information, but that's what my channel's about. To inspire others to cook something great at home. So let's get cooking. So pan nicely heated. They used a really big pan, they didn't use an aluminium saucepan or anything like that yet. So what we need to do is just sizzle the ginger and garlic off. Doesn't take long. Just like that, a little bit rustic, each to their own. Now let's add the tomato puree. And they use plenty of oil. If you go to the third world, pardon the unpolitically correct terminology, they use loads of oil. But this isn't an accusation, this is just a recipe of how it was back in 1991, of how they made it, and it was a pretty damn good curry. I remember it was too hot for me at the time. You just want to sizzle, you can smell the raw flavours coming out, you just want to cook it down until you can't smell that anymore. A couple of minutes. So that's been about 2 minutes. Let's add the powdered spices. And it was a really saucy curry. There was no onions, nothing rustic in it. It was simply the prawns and sauce. So I'm just going to cook that off for about 90 seconds. It's on a really high heat. So put in the chilies. I learned that a long time ago. The earlier you put in the chilies, the more acidity and heat you get dispersed throughout the dish. Now all these videos on YouTube lately, in the UK, restaurant style this, restaurant style that. What restaurants have they been to? I'm not really sure. But yeah, I did my apprenticeship. I broke my cherry, if you like, in British Bangladeshi restaurants, as well as my granddad's experience. You can check that. I've got a couple of blogs where you can find out exactly about that. So now a lemon, you just put it in, and this is what they did, and you can see that throughout my videos, you know. So sometimes, you know, when they say the past comes up to creep up on you, it can be in a good way or a bad way. But some of the things they did back then, I'm still doing now, 20 or so years later. So you're going to get a really nice zesty tang. Using the best prawns, you really need to use some type of acidity to get the maximum flavour out of that. So I'll come back in a moment. It's been just a minute. We've got probably about 450 grams of base gravy there. Like I said, it's one of the most amazing base gravies. Everything has gone more expensive, but this is one of the nicest British base gravies you could ever try, really. It actually tastes nice before you add it to anything. But I might make a recipe for it. I know a lot of people don't like base gravy and stuff, but this is different. This is different. The way they used to do it, I could see how they got so good reviews. And look at that. Wow, look at that sauce. We need it to come to the bubble. We'll come back in a moment. Coriander in. A lot of people say, oh, the leaf coriander has such a delicate flavour, add it in last. But you can see two different methods for this, so it's really about opinion, really. Coriander is just those nice flecks of green. I like to cook it in well most of the time. Sometimes I add it a little bit later. And now we're going to add the prawns. If you want to, you know, this is an authentic recipe from 1991. I've had the prawns marinating in lemon juice, but most restaurants fry them really quickly, deep fry them, take them out, and then add them to the sauce later. But when you're using massive prawns like this, they're going to have taste. You want that to get into the sauce, so I'm doing it differently, and they did it differently as well. So I want the prawns to cook off for about 2.5 minutes. The better the quality of the ingredients, the more attentive you need to be. You're using some crap from Iceland that's already cooked. Doesn't really make much difference, but so we want those prawns nice and pink. 2.5 minutes on the sizzle. So that's piping hot, bubbling, oil separation. 1/3 of a tin of coconut milk or its derivative. Use a little bit of coconut cream and hot water, you know, doesn't matter. But that coconut, I was thinking, oh, coconut, Bengali, yeah, of course they have coconut palms. So I'm just going to give that a stir. We're going to let it come to the boil for about 1.5 minutes. So you can get rid of the lemon. If you want, you can really squeeze it into the dish. Need some acidity. That tastes absolutely awesome. So that's how it went down in 1991. Everybody who loves the old school recipes, this is one of them. So thanks for watching. I'm going to really enjoy that with got some naan bread and I've got some white rice. So bon appetit.